since 1947, we have received and analyzed between 1 and 2,000 reports that have come to us from all kinds of sources.
Fleet of them. What's on the ASA? My gosh. That's not an LNS though, is it? It's not. That is an LNS, well, if there's like anything.
We have spacecraft from another species.
We do, yeah.
How many?
Quite a number.
Unidentified Anomalous Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Unidentified Anomalous Podcast. I'm Digby Furno, and joining me, as always, my very good friend, Tom Cortex Zero. Tom, mate, how are you doing?
I'm good, Digby. I guess we may as well get the elephant in the room out of the way, but you shaved your head, didn't you?
Well, you think that, mate. It's just the stress of working with you, and it's just all fallen out in the space of the last week.
I'm a difficult person. Obviously, that's why I'm here and not where I was before. No, I'm just kidding. So when you first sent me the picture, though, I was like, is he photoshopping here? What's happening?
It's very shiny, isn't it?
Now we're both bald.
Yeah, we are both bald, but nobody knows that, mate, because you always wear a hat.
Always wear a hat. Yeah, well, I got to shave my head, and I'm not taking this hat off during this episode. Next week, though, we can both be like double baldies together. So, we can definitely do that.
So the story behind the bald head was I needed a haircut, and as I am, slightly over 40-ish, getting there, the hair started thinning on the side of my head here. So I was just like, do you know what? I'm just going to shave it off. And I've got a beard trimmer, and let's just say that the battery didn't last for the full haircut. Okay, so I'm there. I've got no other option. I don't have a beard shave, a normal wet shave razor where I'm staying next door in my annex at the moment. So the only option left to me was my wife's leg shaver. So I wet shaved my head with a lady razor, trying to get the last few clumps of hair off here. So of course I had to go and do the whole thing. So, but I quite like it. It feels quite nice.
I think it looks fine on you, man, because you don't have like a weird shaped head. That's what it really comes down to. You know what I mean? You play it well, man. I think it looks absolutely. I think it suits you.
I think that's possibly the nicest thing you've ever said to me. So thanks very much.
My
son, however,
rub it and make a wish.
Coming up to me. My son keeps coming up to me and slapping me on the head and going, "Like you cut cheek," which apparently is a thing these days. And when he's not doing that, he's calling me egghead.
Oh no! Did it make you regret your decision in the least bit?
No, because he went to the hairdressers this afternoon and decided to have his head shaved as well. So he's now got a shaved head as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not quite like mine. We're talking like a grade 3, but still, he decided to copy daddy.
That's still pretty cool, though.
A bit more
no, I think it looks fine, man. It looks fine.
Thanks. As long as I've got the beard, I think if I did both,
yes,
that'd be a bit much. That would be
you have to have
bit Dr. Evil, perhaps.
You have to have the beard. At least that's how I feel. I don't know if anybody noticed, probably not, but I trimmed my beard down on the sides here and kind of just left like a goatee kind of thing here.
Very chiseled.
It's very chiseled. It's very masculine. You look if I may say so myself.
Absolutely. Now,
Two
you
handsome
might
fellas.
all see that my studio has changed a bit today because we are literally in the last throes of organising the house before our big move to Europe. So everything in my studio has pretty much gone. So I am now in what was my lounge. So if it is slightly echoey this evening, I'm assured by Tom that I'm not sounding too echoey, but if I am, that's the reason why. So please forgive me. So Tom, how's your week been, mate? How's things on your side of the pond?
So things have improved on my end. I didn't go into detail about this, but I'll go full disclosure. There, things have been a little wacky.
Better than going total
at my job as of late, and there's been some clashing and whatnot, and my delivery partner and I, we went out and did a delivery, and we built somebody's bed, because that's like part of what we do is we do a delivery and then there's full setup free of charge. Like I mean, I rarely get tips for carrying friggin' anything you can imagine that's heavy in a furniture store. I have drug it up the steps into an apartment complex, multiple stories at times. And so, but this was a first floor house. It was actually in my town. We went, we built the bed, nice people, whatever. I've dealt with them before, but they're not to be trusted 100%. So we get back to the store and they're like, oh, the bed's wobbly, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what they did to it after we left, but it was like sabotage, man. I don't know if they were trying to get money off on the order or whatever, but I almost lost my job as a result of it. And I was really stressed out about that.
If you did lose your job, though, mate, you just have more time with me, so that would be fine.
Yeah, and I looked at it from a positive perspective. I'm like, what's the worst thing that could happen? I file for unemployment, I collect money for a bit of time, and I just focus 100% on my work. I'm like, will it be that bad? But it was I think it was more of a pride thing where I'm like, I know I didn't cause that. I made sure that bed was good before I left. Like, I don't walk into somebody else's house and disrespect the product. You know what I mean? I try to represent the company to the best of my ability. So I was hurt by that because they lied. They lied, wow. and it upset me, but it got resolved, and now I'm a little less stressed out. And I figured out kind of like the tone for my next YouTube video that I'm doing, and I really like where that's going. I think that's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be very dark. I'm going to warn people. It is not a love and light video about the phenomenon. It's one of the times where I'm going to really go into some of the darker aspects of it, but I think it needs to be spoken about. And we'll kind of touch on some of that a little bit because there's something that we're going to present here today that spiritually links to that, we'll say.
Well, there's two sides to every coin, isn't there? There's yin and yang. So although, I mean, I like to talk about the fluffy side of the phenomena, but there is definitely a darker side to it. And when dealing with species from different parts of our galaxy or different parts of the universe, it's highly possible that there are both good and bad out there. So, I can't wait to see it. Do we have a working title?
Well, no, but I will. How about, you know what? We can do this in real time. I haven't gotten the title. I'm very, very, very picky about titles. Sometimes I'll take a week to figure out the title for a video. But what I will do, I'll show you guys the thumbnail real quick, right? Like, why not?
Yep, go for it.
I actually made this. I was messing around in Photoshop last night, and it kind of dawned on me. And I'm like, oh, how about I do that? Okay, sure. Let me see if I can. Okay, let me do this. I'm going to pull. Okay, got stream. That's why I'm looking to my side, because that's my other screen here. And then I can go like that. And this is officially the thumbnail for my next video. Let's do that window.
The suspense.
The suspense is killing me too. I'm making sure that I'm in the right. Is this not? Oh, hold on. Let me do that.
Sorry, window. Everybody. Technical issues. Normal service will be resumed shortly. There we go. No.
Oh, wait. Hold on. Well, because you know what I'm trying to do? What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to show it so that it's just the image.
Yeah.
As opposed to because I have other pieces of work in here that I don't necessarily want to show everybody yet.
Work.
To be fair.
Other pieces of work.
Oh wait, no, actually these are all old thumbnails. That's okay. That's okay. I can do that. I can actually do that. Now, let's see. Share screen. Blah blah blah. We're figuring things out in real time here. Okay, here it is. That's the thumbnail for the next video.
Nice.
It's yeah, it's dark, right? There's nothing happy about this here. But
Secret Keepers. I've found the name.
It's got something to do with that. Now here we go. So if I hit F11, it's just the image. That's kind of what we were looking to do here.
Nice. For those listening in, it says Fear and Secrecy with a blurred out grey in the background. So
It's just that sometimes, and there is a blurred out alien in the back. Sometimes what I like to do is not necessarily put the title in the image, but put something related to it so that you have that, but then you also have the title. So there's more being said.
So you like to leave something out, keep something secret, even in your advertising. So a bit like Marvel movies, really. You know, when they cut things out of the trailers and you don't realize who's in the scene to the end.
Yeah, I don't want to give it all away. You know, that's why I want you to
away.
want you to watch the video, obviously. But yeah, that's it. That's in progress.
Nice.
And I would like to hopefully have that out maybe by like the weekend. No promises, because sometimes more information pops up and such. It's not going to be some hour-long venture.
Don't make promises.
It's going to be like a regular length YouTube video, you know, like maybe like 15, maybe for like 10, 15 minutes, like just a regular watchable video.
Well, yeah. I look forward to watching it when it comes out.
I appreciate that.
What else has been going on? My week's been a bit mental.
Yeah, what's going on with yours? We obviously know that you mowed the cranial lawn.
Didn't I just? It's so
what
smooth.
else? What else do we have going on?
It's I started the last job on my day job that I will no longer have to do, hopefully. So yeah, I've got a couple of days left on that this week and a few days of it next week, and then it's just weekends of packing up the last bits. I'm meeting up with two of my best friends this Saturday to go out for dinner for the last time.
Oh man.
But yeah, no, it's all good. It's all in process. So I mean, I don't know where I left it with you last time, but the dogs' vaccines pushed back the date of when we get to go because I didn't realise that they had to go 3 weeks after they've had their rabies jab.
Right. Yep. No, you told me about that. Yep.
Yeah. So that's all changed. So Katie's flying out with the kids on the 10th, and I'm driving to Portugal, which is about it's only about 2,000 miles. Be fine.
Whoa! You're driving that whole way?
Yeah, with me and the dogs. So that'll be fun.
What's up, Paul? I see Paul in the chat. He says number 4.
Hey, Paul's back. Hey, Paul. Paul, there's a chance that we'll be going through Albania in the beginning of January. So get your spare room ready, mate. Like last week, I hadn't forgotten. And I did say Albania this time and not Alabama, because that's apparently a very different place. Who knew?
That's right.
I did know, by the way. I'm not that stupid.
I also want to say, too, that this is a really interesting opportunity for you, because it could happen for you to potentially have some sightings, right? Going to all these different parts of the world, like you have a higher chance of potentially seeing something as opposed to being in one spot. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And what's great about the first two locations is the first one's Portugal, which is pretty much up in the mountains in the north of Portugal. So the night sky view is just going to be absolutely amazing. And then in the south of Spain, which is our next location, again, that's up in the mountains. So I'm expecting, really good visibility, not so much light pollution. So it should be amazing. And I'm going to have some amazing stories to tell you guys as I go along the way. And I'm going to be doing a little video diary as well of my travels, so I'll keep you guys up to date, and I think the family want to do their own YouTube channel as well.
That's cool.
So yeah, my son Barnaby's set one up. It's called Small Steps Big World. It's on YouTube now. He hasn't uploaded his first video yet, but
it's a great name.
Give him a follow. Look up at Small Steps Big World, and you can see him when he gets his.
How old is he?
Going? He's 7.
Really? Small steps is, dude, he could grow. This could grow up with him. This could actually end up being a really, really cool project.
I'm really excited.
That a lot.
I'm really excited for him. I did a little logo design for him and stuff like that.
That's great for a young person's mind, creativity and stuff. Like my parents always gave me the ability to stretch my creative muscles growing up. They bought me like a Magna Doodle, anything that I needed to draw. I had a light box so I could, trace and stuff. So all of that stuff is really good to cultivate a young person's mind. Like he may end up being like a filmmaker or something one day, as a result of growing up with the tech.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I think at the moment he's really just following me, and he sees me doing something that I really love. And we all imitate our parents when we're young and want to be like them and stuff like that.
That
So
is true.
he's following that at the moment. And if he decides that it's something that he loves doing and that he has an interest in, then yeah, absolutely. But
It's really cool.
we'll see
I
where it
love
goes.
that. It's such
We
a
will
cool
see
project.
where it goes.
Absolutely love the name too. I really do. Like I think that is like so spot on for that. A little kid's YouTube channel.
Well, Daddy may have had a slight influence over the name.
Well, but he had to give it the final okay because he is, the director and all that. He is
Absolutely.
the head of personnel, so to speak. But good for him, man. I like that. I like seeing kids getting involved with the arts. Like I think that's so huge. I think it's more important than a lot of people realize, like music programs and art programs, theater and such. It's huge, man. You got to have that. Like, I think that is so deeply ingrained in us as people. Like, I'll be honest, man. And I really mean this. There are some years that I can think of back in school where I think my art classes to me were more important than like my math.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Completely.
Like
creative stuff that makes your mind tick over, that uses your creativity is
I don't
far
need
more
to measure
important
the
than-
lines that I'm drawing. I need to just draw the
Yeah.
lines.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
And it's that sort of stuff where they can't sit you down and tell you what you need to learn and feed you information that you just regurgitate later on in life. Anything creative is using your brain. So I would always encourage that. I mean, when we do GCSEs in the UK. That's what we study for when we're at secondary school or college. And I did art, drama, and photography. That's what I majored in, and I
Really
loved
cool.
it. And all the other subjects that you're forced to do, that you have to do, have never played any part of my adult life. One thing I'm just going to bring up, because this is really interesting. So Twitter, or X, has changed a few things this week. So now we are here, actually, Tom, if you can see. That's us in pink at the top there. So
that is us in pink. Yep.
yeah. So whereas before you would only have Twitter Spaces or X Spaces up the top there, now any live stream video comes up in the purple. So if you are watching us on that new feature on X, hello. If you want to comment, though, I think you still have to head over to our YouTube channel, or if you are watching us on X, put a comment in the comment box and we'll see if it comes up. That'd be a nice little test. So yeah, let's get on with the show. It's a funny one this week because we've been moving around a few guests that we've got coming up. And a few have been pushed back a little bit, which is absolutely fine. But as anybody who's watched this show before will know, that Tom and I can collectively talk the hind legs off a donkey. So I think we will manage just fine today. Although we did get some really good news today from Ronnie Burnett, who was one of the key speakers at the Mexican UAP hearing. And that is, he is joining us on the show next week, which is going to be absolutely
really
fantastic.
cool. I'm really excited to speak with him. He knows a lot about this subject, and I get very, very excited to communicate with people that are of that mindset, that are deep into it.
Absolutely. And we're going to be, I don't want to sit here and talk to him for an hour about the Mexican hearings, because I just don't think it needs to be done. But the man has done a significant amount of research on the subject, and I can't wait to hear everything he's got to say. Obviously, we will bring up the Mexican UAP hearing and his thought processes behind a few key points of that hearing, but it won't just be about that. So really looking forward to having him on next week. And as far as I'm aware, correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't seen his name appear on anybody else's podcast yet. So I think
I'm not sure.
We might be the first people to get him on.
That'd be really cool.
Mexican hearing. Although I know Amazing People podcast, I think I saw him advertise the other day that he's got coming soon. So we'll wait and see. But still, really looking forward to that. Paul, here we go. I watched Encounters on Netflix. Wasn't bad. Didn't carve any new ground. Well, I'm going to talk about that later. Yeah. For anybody who hasn't seen it, the new Steven Spielberg studio UFO documentary series has come out on Netflix today. We'll have a quick chat about that, because I think I've probably got varying idea on it than most people I see on Twitter, but we'll come up with that later on. So, Tom, shall we cover the highlights of this week's news?
Oh man, yeah, and I know it feels like a slow week to some people, but
It
I
is.
found some things.
Good. Tom was tasked with digging around at the bottom of the UFO bin to see what we could drag up.
Oh, there were some gems. It looks like somebody dumped some diamonds right in the bottom of the basket there.
Right, let's go.
Beyond the mundane.
So, Tom, what is beyond the mundane this week?
Well, I think let's get this one out of the way. Let's just get it right out of the way. So there were a couple posts on Reddit, and that started floating around. I believe the actual images and footage originated from Reddit, I believe, but there's been some more media attached to this Peruvian mummy situation, and I don't know how. Hey, UFO chick, what's up, darling? I don't know. Again, I don't know. We sit on the fence with this. I'm not really sure what to make of it. Now, apparently, it's leaked. The footage is leaked footage of grave robbers that are raiding a Nazca cave in Peru. What I'm gonna do right now, as we're talking about it, is I'm gonna download the clip so that we can just throw it up here.
You go
Have a look at
right
it.
ahead. I mean, we've talked about this before, and I think you know that where I stand with this, and I know that there are a lot of people that 100% believe in it, and there are loads of people that will go, "No, it's not true, it's fake," and all this lot and stuff. I am completely on the fence about this, and that's not because I'm not willing to make a decision. It's because I don't feel I have enough information, and I don't think anybody really does.
Okay, I can pop it up here.
Go for it.
Again, low quality, right? So yeah, and I'm also noticing the arm is really, really strange looking here. But if this is, I don't know the nature and the composition of this particular being that we're looking at here.
That's moving.
UFO chain. What?
It's moving.
Oh my God, you're right. What the hell? Wait a second. Let me rewind that real quick. I didn't even notice that the first time.
Yeah, the arms are moving.
Is someone like grabbing it?
Nope. Its arms are opening.
Okay, that's odd.
Look at the hands as well. That is not a Nazca mummy.
Right, and that's the other thing, is that, like, I'm looking at that, and I'm like, that doesn't look like anything. That's something different. This is different. And I get a close-up on the face. Yeah, it's different, right? Different shaped head, even. The skin appears to be blue in nature. Now, the photos associated with this are also, like, of a similar vein. They're not really going to show you anything different. Again, I'll be honest, when it comes to this piece of footage, I am leaning towards this being fake.
Jet, looks like stuffed socks. Hey guys, we're not saying that this is real or fake. We're just throwing it up there to have a look at it. It's the first time I've seen it. It does look interesting though, and actually, what I will say for that piece of footage there, it does look a lot like the stuff that came out of Russia a few years ago from the school kids that found it and recorded it. It looks very similar to that. So yeah, that's an interesting one. That's Tom's dog again, everyone. Yeah, so I don't know, Tom. I think with that one, I think that is probably a fake. Tom, I have lost your audio.
How about now? How about
yeah, that's better. That's better. That's better.
Found it.
No.
Ryan Graves put out a statement about, obviously, he was at this event in Mexico. So he put out a statement saying that after the U.S. congressional UFO hearing, I, meaning him, Ryan Graves, accepted an invitation to testify before the Mexican Congress, hoping to keep up the momentum of government interest in pilot experiences with UAP. Unfortunately, yesterday's demonstration was a huge step backwards for this issue. My testimony centered on sharing my experience and the UAP reports I hear from commercial and military air crew through ASA's witness program. I will continue to raise awareness of UAP as an urgent matter of aerospace safety, national security, and science, but I am deeply disappointed by this unsubstantiated stunt. Again, everyone has a different opinion about this. Some people are like, oh, it's totally real. Some people are like, yeah, no, it's a hoax. Some people are on the fence. I do like what he says here because it is unsubstantiated. I'll be honest. I think that what they should have done is instead of rolling these out in boxes and presenting them at this event, they should have done all of the testing that is now being done, and then if it's something significant, then you bring it out. Like,
Oh,
don't.
there's no doubt.
This is
Absolutely no doubt.
thing that I've had multiple researchers express to me in this field. People, names that you would all know if you follow this topic closely. They have told me that, if you go out in the desert and you find something, don't report on it until you have all of your data.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Flat out.
Absolutely.
Don't
Data
make
is
that.
exactly.
You can't. So, like, if you find a piece of metal, this was the best example I was given. If you find a piece of metal out in Roswell, right? Don't go and tell everybody that you think you may have found a potential piece of an alien spacecraft. Do the testing, figure out what it is, and if it's anomalous, then announce that it's anomalous. Otherwise, it's a wild goose chase at that point.
Shane says, definitely do not call the Air Force. Yep, Shane, you're absolutely right. And UFO Chick, I feel we are in endurance mode now on UFO Twitter. Only the fittest will survive the chaos. Yeah.
Hey, real quick too, because there's a lot of people here from Twitter. There was a community I was in that had "woo" in the name, and like I went to go post in it today, and now I can't find it. Did it get deleted, disappeared? Did I get kicked out of it for inactivity? I have absolutely no idea. It's probably right. Like, I mean, I feel bad because it's hard for me to keep up with everything on there. I'm in a few different ones. I'm in this really great group chat on there. I just hope I didn't like lose my membership or something because there are a lot of nice people in there.
I'm sure you
I don't know, man. That would hurt me if that was the case. I just wanted to know where it went. I wanted to share our live in there. Be like, hey, everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Twitter's been a bit of a funny one for me. We've got to stop saying Twitter, haven't we? It is X. X has been a funny one for me this week because I've just been so bloody busy over the last week that I've hardly had chance to catch up. So I feel like I'm a bit on the back foot today, which is not normally where I like to be. So I'm very much heavily leaning on Tom this evening, and I will give my reaction to the news as I find it out from Tom as we go along. So that would explain.
You're in the middle of a move, man. People got to remember that we have actual lives that we live.
Yeah, well, indeed. But this is, as always, one of the highlights of my week, so I really look forward to it. So what else have we got on the news? What's next?
Well, let's see. What else can we cover here?
I liked the image of the sun that you brought up.
Yeah, that's.
You want to go with that one because this is really interesting.
Really interesting. Yeah. So I'm gonna pull that up on my
do that. I'm just going to go through some of these comments here. So Paul has just put a comment. Have E-Review done CE5 and did it work for you? I haven't actually had the opportunity to do a CE5 yet. Apparently, I just don't have enough friends. But I would love to do. I'd love to do a CE5. Oh, there was some audio there. Thanks, Tom.
I just wanted to see what you would do.
You just thrown it in there to wake me up, you bastard. I am awake.
We have to be funny on here.
Yes, I haven't done a CE5, but hopefully when up in the mountains in Portugal or when I'm in Spain or anything like that, then yeah, I really hope to do some things like that. Tom, I think have you done CE5 yet?
I have.
How did it go for you?
There were some weird things that happened. I haven't really shared too much of it publicly yet, but I did some. There was one specifically that I did when I was on vacation a few months ago that there were some results. Again, these are things that I'm careful because certain things can be misinterpreted. And because I was by myself, I have to try to be grounded about it. But I will say this: I went out and I followed the protocols as I know them to be, and I don't know. Some of you may know I'm in the background working on a project. That's basically like a be all end all guide to this, but like an ultimate guide to CE5, the history of it, how to handle it if you go out and do it, and then it works. Like how does one navigate that type of situation? And I have some people help me with that. Astral, you guys know Astral from Twitter. There's a couple other people helping me with it. Obviously, Digby's always going to be helping me with everything because we do things partnered up here. So that's going to be an audio and video situation and text. We're trying to make it so that it's accessible to even for people maybe with impairments, so they can either read it, listen to it, watch it, whatever the choice may be. But when I was out there doing what I did, there were some lights that appeared off in the distance that were not typical aviation lights that you would recognize them. They were not in the ocean. I was able to easily determine that they were not out in the water. They were up much higher, and they acted erratically, and then they faded out. Is it possible they were drones? Yeah, I guess, but I don't know about that. I mean, they were really up there, and I just find it really coincidental that they would show up right after I did that.
Yeah. No, I agree. And
so I got the picture of the sun queued up too.
Right, let's go with that because this is actually really interesting.
So now
you might need to zoom in on the bottom corner bit though, so to make sure it comes
Yeah, well, I have that all. I took different screenshots. Now we'll start with this. We'll start with our basic image of the sun that we have here. I found this on Reddit too. All right, let's try that. So here's our basic image of the sun. Okay.
Yep.
Bottom left-hand corner, you guys probably do. I can see it on my screen.
I can just about make it out.
All right, now I'm going to scroll to the right. There's a picture of Ross Coulthard. What's up, Ross?
That's a good-looking man. See, this is really interesting.
Look how straight. Like, this is coming off the side of the sun here. Again, I'm sure you guys can kind of see right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's an extraordinarily straight line, first of all. So that's the first thing I take notice to is like out in nature. If this was something shooting off of the sun with gravitational forces and such that are at play, I would not necessarily expect to see something that is in such a straight line like that, right? That's a little odd. But then when you zoom in even further,
yeah, that's nuts. So, Tom, just give us a description of what we're seeing here, because there's people that are going to be listening in and not watching.
So, there was an image taken of the sun out in space that appears to show something shooting away from it. It has a red trail behind it that is extraordinarily straight. I mean, it's like it's a perfectly straight line, and then at the end of the line, there appears to be something, an object that.
Well, it looks like a collection of 6 lights, doesn't it?
Yeah, right, exactly. Now, somebody did some math, and this is really interesting. They did some math, and without boring you with all of the calculations and such, well, I can at least give you this part. The sun's diameter is 1.3927 million kilometers, which in this image would be equal to 3,300 pixels. So 1 pixel is going to be approximately 422.3 kilometers. If that is a ship, it breaks down to this. The ship would be 1,688.12 kilometers. Which is 1,048.95 miles. The trail that it has behind it, the width of the trail would be 786.71 miles, and the energy trail is equal to 3 pixels, I guess, across, but the length would be 1,266.9 kilometers. I mean, it looks tiny in the image, but remember, it's next to the sun.
Now,
So it's huge. Whatever it is huge.
but the length of the trail is considerably larger. I mean, that's nuts.
Oh, yeah.
So
Well, there's something else that I noticed too. If you look in this image, right? You see the trail coming away from the sun. It appears to shift color and brighten as it gets closer to the object, like a gradient.
Yeah.
And I just find that interesting because that is kind of what you would expect to see if this was something that was using propulsion. If you go look at a rocket, it kind of looks like that. The flames, if you look at the flames on like the Apollo missions and such, when you get closer to the heating element, it brightens up because it's hotter.
Yeah. I mean,
So it's kind of like that.
Can I tell you what the problem I have with this, though, is?
Sure.
I'm
No, yeah,
just thinking
please.
about it now. So we're saying that the item at the end, the collection of lights, is about what? Has got 1,000-mile diameter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how long does the make that visible trail? I mean,
Ooh,
tens of thousands of miles long.
absolutely. Yeah. No, 100%.
That doesn't make sense to have something that's leaving a trail that long, unless, of course, that it's actually just moving that quickly that it looks like the trail is that long because of the shutter speed on the camera.
Well, also, if it depends on what's being used for propulsion, it could be leaving out something, like it could be like some sort of exhaust that hangs around for a bit.
If that was the case, and there were craft out there, we would be seeing wiggly lines throughout space or through telescopes and stuff. I would imagine that was just, I think it's a frame rate thing. The only thing, and the other thing that just concerns me is how perfectly straight that line is.
I agree with you on that.
Distances also can be messed around with here as well, because for all we know, that isn't coming from the sun. It just happens to look like it's coming from the sun, and it's actually behind it by some distance, or it could potentially even be closer. As Paul's just put, it's possible it's much closer.
Oh, what's up, Kimball? Kimball's here. What's up, Kimball?
Kimball was on here
last week for anybody that didn't get to see that episode.
Yeah, go back and watch that. Actually, that was great.
Ep.5, you're absolutely right.
Yeah,
is there
absolutely.
any way that could be getting off the sun? 1,000-mile wide craft is too much bird seed. Again, it's just odd how straight the line is. Like, Digby, I like the point.
Sorry, Kimball put is in front of the sun. Yeah, that's what I think. I think it's an illusion in the sense that it looks like it's coming from the sun. I think it's much, much closer, and I think it just happens to be there. Apart from anything else, it is literally coming from the side of the sun. Now, if we understand the gravitational, we need Roy, but the gravitational force in orbit of the sun would be, I don't even know. Somebody put it in the chat. But then for an object that's 1,000 miles wide to break the orbit of the sun, Hey,
Ocean's here.
Hey, Ocean.
Hey, Ocean. I adore this girl. I absolutely love her.
Like, she's one of my favorite. This is a bird.
Of course, it's a flaming seagull from Neptune.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's literally one of my favorite people in the community. Like, she's always so friendly towards me, and then she comes into the spaces, always has something really interesting to say. She's just fantastic. Do you know?
Actually put a really comment. Actually, let's put that. Do you know what the gravity of the sun does to light and time that close? Yeah,
that's such a great point. That makes this a little bit even. That makes this even more interesting if you think about it, because it's like it could be. Oh God, it could be a number of things. Now, you know what I would really need and really hope to maybe try to be able to find? I'm going to try to find after the show the source of this image. And I'm going to see if it caught anything else. Like, did it take any images before this that we could see it coming? Or could we see it going even further? Just for some comparison's sake, just to see the evolution of the object over time. and that might give us some more clues as to its
Yeah.
nature. I just thought it was really interesting, though. I
Yeah, no,
spotted
it
it and was
is.
like, oh, that's pretty cool.
It is completely interesting. Yeah. Right. Should we move on to the next one for today? We've got video
Yeah,
loaded up for this one, haven't we? We talked
Oh,
about
do you
this
want to do the
briefly. Let's go
you want to do
Gary
the Korea
Nolan.
video? Oh, you want to do Gary Nolan first?
Yeah, let's do Gary Nolan.
Let's do Gary Nolan. Well, actually, let's do the Korea thing first, because the Gary thing is going to probably create a much longer conversation.
Okay. Go for it.
I think that might be, yeah. All right, so somebody found this, went into the MUFON database, which I'm about to gain access to, by the way. She said, I won't invade your room today. You're always welcome to invade my room. That was such a crazy story. I think I discussed it on Nicotina's show. So before I load up the video, for anybody that missed that, Astral was doing one of his remote viewing spaces, which if you've ever been there, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. If not, look for that on Thursdays on X. It's such a great meeting of good people every week. And there's a remote viewing target that he creates, and people try to remote view it, and then they submit their drawings and see who gets closest. So I made a little joke and was like, somebody should remote view my room right now. So Ocean did it. And a couple things happened. So
I want her to do my room now.
99% right. There was only one thing that she said that was off. Only one thing, but everything. But she named a very specific object in my room, which is weird because it's actually locked away in a box. And I'm like, how the hell? So I'm like, okay, she's here and she's looking at the boxes. But I mean, it was happening in real time, live in the middle of the space. It's recorded. It's there. Now, about 5 or 6 minutes after my last DM with her, I caught something out of the corner of my eye to my right coming from like the area of my window. And what it looked like, imagine if like just like a black like mass, like a fog, just shot behind you real quick. Like just a black blur. And I saw it shoot behind my right shoulder, go this way. And I'm like, what the hell was that? And I'm like thinking to myself, and I'm like, okay, this girl was just focusing in consciously on my room. I'm like, was that her? Like in some weird construct, like, was that her?
Hey, Ocean, was that you? Did she answer you? Can we get an answer now?
She doesn't know. I mean, I don't know if she knows, like, if that could. I found it really ironic that somebody would remote view the space that I am currently in, and then I would have this high strangeness thing happen right behind me. And I'm like, really, really odd. Really, really odd. But it was such a cool incident. Kimball says it was kind of a group effort, wasn't it? I mean, yeah, I guess so. That you could look at it that way, right? I don't know how many other people were looking in too. That's the other thing. She was the only person that said she was looking in, and then I confirmed her results and her observations.
I've never had anybody do anything like that.
It was really wild though because of how accurate it was, and it happened. I mean, dude, I made that post, and then like a minute later, she messaged me and was like, "It," and I'm like, "Oh my god!" And then I saw this thing behind me, shoot behind me, and I'm like, "Did I just see like an aberration of her consciousness or something?" Like I don't even know what to call that. I have never heard of that particular phenomenon happening in relation to remote viewing where someone sees the remote viewer in some strange capacity.
Nuts. Well, hey Ocean, if you've got a theory on that, put it on the chat and we'll pop it up.
Yeah, definitely.
Get involved.
Would love to hear what she has to say about that.
And if she wants to do a bit of remote viewing while we're live on the air, I'm happy for that too. Although
that would be cool. That would be cool.
There's not much for her to.
And it's amazing how confident she is in her abilities. That she trusts herself that much to be under scrutiny in real time like that. So I found that really impressive. And she's a special one, man. I'll tell you what. She's just really interesting stuff. So now we're gonna get to this. There's a piece of footage that I'm going to show you guys. It is from South Korea. It was submitted to MUFON, and it comes from their database. Now, what's really cool is that this person was nice enough to share basically their whole their whole report. So this individual, I'll just go over it really briefly. So this happened in 2019. This was May 2nd at 7:43 p.m. And this person says that their name is Garam Kim. They're a writer over at SBS, which is Seoul Broadcasting System. It's a broadcasting company in South Korea. He says, we've received a report of a UFO sighting at our broadcasting station, and we've made various attempts to confirm whether this object is indeed a UFO. However, we were unable to determine its nature. Consequently, we have reached out here for assistance. The sighting summary and details are as follows. Now, obviously, I don't really even need to read this because that's where this footage comes in. I find it very intriguing, personally. And I'm not one to see a piece of footage and just latch onto it very quickly. Ocean says, you caught on to my leftover vibes, maybe, but I promise I didn't stay. I mean, you can always use some company. Sometimes I'm a little lonely. I got a guitar. I'll serenade you. Like, we could do that.
Later. That's the last segment of tonight's show.
That's
Right, come on, show us
segment.
this footage.
I serenade her consciousness in my room. All right,
this is a fan club for Hey Ocean tonight, isn't it? Hey,
isn't it?
This is interesting. Now I feel like
Did you notice those little blinks?
Yeah. No, I feel I've either seen this footage before or seen something very similar to it, and a lot of people were.
Now, I don't know if they pop back up again.
Well, let's bring it back to the beginning just so we can see those bits again. Here you go.
Yeah, absolutely. They're not flares.
They're not flares because they're not dipping down, but there is little flashes in the background, and then they appear.
They're like little flash bulbs going off.
There's also little flash bulbs coming off. Sorry, I got too close to the mic there. Flash bulbs coming off the orbs as well. That is interesting.
Now, the one all the way to the right, watch the movement. Watch the movement here.
Flashes.
Look at that.
Yeah. So do you think it's two orbs? Or do you think it's multiple? Or are they jumping?
Oh, it's multiple. It's definitely multiple objects. What they are.
Hang on, you never see more than
guess.
two. You never see more than two at a time, though. So I reckon
two main. So you see the two main larger points of light, but then there's these little, there's these little blinks that are happening around them at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, look at that. See, blink, blink, blink.
But that one goes out.
Blink,
and then
blink.
Yeah. I think it's two. One goes and then it moves in another location, and then they both go.
And then there's another blink, and then they're gone.
Yeah, that is.
Oh, and then it sort of came back and then fades away again.
That is interesting.
Yeah, that's a weird
one,
right?
Where did this footage come from?
This comes from the MUFON database. This was taken in South Korea. The gentleman said, and this was his actual sighting summary here. Let's see. The following eyewitness details are the information reported to the Korean Broadcasting Company, SBS. It says, at first I witnessed a UFO inside my house. There were two brightly shining elliptical objects. I have seen airplanes passing by frequently, but this didn't look like the usual airplanes. I thought it was nothing special, but 15 minutes later, I went out into the yard and a neighbor lady shouted, "What is that?" When I looked up at the sky, there were still 2 objects floating in the sky. Suddenly, the lights disappeared, and then they reappeared next to another glowing object. They continued to blink and move before disappearing. There was no sound, and there have been no military exercises with flares or anything of that sort in the vicinity. We even launched fireworks into the sky, but the flying pattern and the way the lights blinked were completely different from those objects. We also tried flying drones, but it was impossible for drones to move and disappear that quickly. Moreover, we're not allowed to fly drones in this area during the evening hours. We attempted various methods to replicate a similar shape and behavior, but we couldn't recreate the flying pattern and glowing objects seen in the footage. We also consulted with video analysis experts, but there were no signs of manipulation or editing, and they found it difficult to determine the identity of these objects. Therefore, I decided to seek assistance here, meaning MUFON.
Wow.
So pretty cool stuff. I really appreciate the effort and the lengths that they went to try to recreate that. That's really admirable. So a lot of people don't go that far, and some people don't have the time or the resources to do that, obviously. Sometimes they just have a sighting and they share it. But I put this, so I have a folder on my computer. I have a UFO folder, and I have another folder in that folder that's called The Best. And I threw this into there because I like this one. I think it's really actually anomalous. I think it's hard to say what that really is.
Yeah, it's certainly incredibly interesting. I can't say what
Ocean
it is.
says reminds me of tuning forks, how they respond to each other. That's an interesting comparison. Tuning forks. Yeah, you're right. You make a good point. I don't know. I think that one's unidentified. That one stays unidentified. That's a genuine UFO. That's
there we go.
It's not bird.
If anybody's heard anything about it or seen it before, got a comment about it, put it in the chat. We'll pop it up on the screen. But yeah, that's definitely an incredibly interesting one. Good find. What's next for the news today?
All right, we're going to hit the
We've got an exciting new segment coming up that I'm really looking forward to. And anybody who's on X is not safe later on.
That is true. That's so true.
We're coming for you.
Ross Coulthart, whenever he says something, everybody listens and it gets shared all over the place. Which rightfully so. Ross is, to me, one of the best journalists left on this planet.
He is.
He had some interesting things to say about where disclosure is headed. And then he also makes another little comment that everyone should be paying attention to. So we are going to play the Ross Coulthart clip. Is this the Ross Coulthart clip?
I hope it is, Tom.
That's the
No,
mummy.
it's not.
Where is it? I got me. That's right. I have it. So what I did, just to respect other people's content and such, I took the audio from this because it was actually somebody else reacting to another podcast. So I didn't want to upset anybody or anything of that nature. So I went and edited this really quick before we started the show. So let me just grab the clip. So Ross makes appearances all the time, obviously. But this one really, again, it captured my attention. And at the very end of this, he says something that, like I said earlier in the show today, is very much in the spirit of what my next video is going to be covering. So here is the clip.
Look, as I'm talking to you, Neil, I'm conscious of the fact that this all sounds crazy. It really does. I mean, it sounds daffy, and I've taken quite a lot of hits from my journalistic colleagues who love taking the mickey with me and saying, oh, you know, Ross Coulthart's gone UFO crazy. But if they were talking to the sources that I've been privileged to speak to, people at a very high level in US defence and intelligence, people in the French government, the British government, the Russian government, across the world, there are people who are in a position to assert that they know that the human race is aware of a non-human intelligence. And I think that the world will probably know publicly within, I suspect, 12 to 18 months.
I would love to know what he means by that. He also had this to say.
At the moment, Washington is bitterly factionalized. There is a pro-disclosure movement, who are in the defence community who think that the public should know, and there are a lot of very senior people, generals, admirals, people who think that it's time the public was told the truth. I've spoken to one or two of these very senior people. On the other side, there are the anti-transparency, and I would say at the moment they're in the majority. I think there's a fear of a war with China on the horizon, and I think there's an argument being made by the Pentagon to the Congress that we cannot afford this incredible distraction right now. And moreover, if there is weaponry that is being developed from these technologies, from these recovered craft, if these craft exist, why do we want to disclose that to our foreign adversaries? And so what I think we might see in the best case scenario is an acknowledgement within the next 12 to 18 months of a non-human intelligence that has been engaging with this planet. And I know that there are moves afoot to get interviews with senior officials who may very well admit and say that very thing. But I think there's also a pushback, and I think a large part of the problem at the moment is the weakness of Joe Biden. There is a question at the moment about his continuing capacity to operate as the president. And I think also there's uncertainty, frankly, in the Pentagon about somebody like Donald Trump, if he ends up being president, being trusted with the extent of this information. I think a lot of people feel it's too dangerous a time to be too candid. So I wouldn't be surprised, though, if what we saw was a compromise where there was the beginning of an admission that, oh gosh, yes, we think there may indeed be life behind this, some kind of intelligence, but we need to do more work. I think we might see that kind of qualified revelation.
Ross Coulthard, you've indicated in what we've discussed that you've conducted these interviews, and you can't tell us everything that you know. Are there things you know which you can't divulge which frighten you?
Yes, there are. Yeah, there are. I can talk to some degree about it. I mean, one of the sources that I spoke to told me that, actually multiple sources have told me that we should be taking the abduction phenomenon more seriously than we have done to date.
There we go.
So I see some of the comments. Shane, you know you're my buddy here. But I'm going to disagree with you a little bit here. And I can say this from recent personal experience. Sometimes, as a journalist, my brother graduated from NYU. He majored in journalism. And he worked for the NBA, National Basketball Association, for a little bit when they were in the bubble. When they were holding the finals down in Florida, he was in the bubble. And he now works for another sports-related company. But there, you do get into situations where people do divulge information to you, and unfortunately, you are put into a position where you are basically told, I'm going to tell you these things, but the minute you reveal my identity or you say too much about this thing, you're cut off. So there's a tightrope that gets walked. I understand the frustration that comes with someone saying certain things. Oh, I believe this. Well, we gotta try to hone in on the actual wording that he's using. Ross is a journalist, so he is very aware of what he is saying. These are his opinions. I have opinions too. Everybody has an opinion, and opinions are not facts. That's why we have a different word for it. I could say that I believe that disclosure will happen in the next yada yada yada, and I could very well be wrong. There is no way for me to predict that. I try to look at all of these individuals that bring information out like this, and I try to play devil's advocate. But being that I am an experiencer, I have the blessing and the fortunate position of saying that I know something's out there, something is happening. I know this for a fact. It's not a matter of conjecture. It's not hyperbole. I know It's different than guessing. It's different than assuming or looking at all of the facts and information. That's why I am an optimist, and that's why I am sitting back and carefully analyzing everything that's being said, because I know there are things happening that are of a non-human nature. I know that. I know.
Well, look,
like it's but yeah, go ahead, Digby. Go ahead.
Sorry, yeah. I mean, look, I follow Ross Hart as well. I think he's doing some great work, and let's not forget he's the guy who was partly responsible for bringing us David Grush as well. So he's done his fair share of legwork here. But everybody's entitled to their own opinion.
Everybody makes mistakes too.
Just like Shane with his opinion of Ross. No, I'm kidding.
Shots fired. Shots fired. Well, he makes a good point about the Area 51
Shane.
patch thing.
Yeah,
I get that.
Yeah,
I've posted footage before that ended up being debunked.
Yeah, exactly.
We're all guilty of being imperfect, but I pay attention to Ross specifically because of his attitude towards mainstream media and journalism. He thinks the way I do, and where he feels that there is a disgusting stigma and there is an absolute failure on the part of government and the media to be more transparent about this topic and to take it more seriously. And I think that's something that, regardless of whatever he's promoted or any mistakes that he's may have made in the past, or that can be looked upon as such, or maybe he was misled by somebody. You don't have all the details. That in the least, the common ground that can be walked upon by everybody hand in hand here is that the stigma is bad for this whole subject. The media is at times been complicit in pushing that narrative.
Mm-hmm.
There is a disinformation campaign actively in play and has been for over 75 years. And that also bleeds over to the government. They're all part of that. That's the common ground we all have here. I respect Ross. Look, he's not perfect. I'm not perfect.
Well,
none of us are perfect.
Let's put it this way: Ross Hart is a journalist, right? So he's not seen things firsthand. He's reporting on what other people say. So all Ross can do is repeat what's been said to him, and decide what he wants to believe in, and do the necessary research and checks and balances to make sure that, to the best of his ability, the information that he is passing on is correct. And when it comes down to not revealing locations of football-sized pitched UFOs or anything like that, he's a journalist, and if somebody gives him some information and says, but I don't want you to tell them this, and I don't want you to tell them my name, he wouldn't be a journalist for very much longer, because no one would talk to him. We've got to take everything with a pinch of salt, and everybody's got to take the information that is presented to them and decide for themselves what they feel is true. Same way that Ross does when he reports on things. And, as Ross gets it right sometimes and gets it wrong sometimes, so will we. With everything in this subject, just keep an open mind as best you can. And if you really don't believe in something, that's absolutely fine. That's your prerogative. Yeah. And me and Tom are nobody to tell you otherwise. And
that's absolutely right. No, I want you to think for yourself.
Shane has said that he's not that thin-skinned, so that's absolutely
Kimball said earlier too, love Ross, but he's an Aussie. Are we really going to trust him?
Yeah, I think that's a dig at me, because throughout the whole show last week, Kimball was referring to me as an Aussie. So right here, right now, Kimball, I am not an Australian man. Very much English.
I mean, same thing, right? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, I mean, it's literally polar opposites, quite literally.
Yeah, I mean, different parts of the world and such. I'll say this too. We all want to figure this out. And one of the reasons I pay attention to people like Ross is because I don't think he's messing around. I really don't. When he says that, the people that he's talking to, like, listen, and I'll tell you why. I've never said this before, and I'm not going to say too much. There are a couple people that I'm talking to, because there are things that I am investigating on my own. that I don't.
You leaving me
Digby
out,
doesn't.
Tom? Are you leaving me
Well,
out?
It's I'm trying to. We'll say it's localized without going too far. It's localized. I'll let you
You have
figure out what
something
that
in your
means.
basement.
I don't have a basement.
Fair enough. Sorry, I'm
So
just
it
going to
makes it
stop you
difficult.
here. Is
But there's
anybody
people
else
like that.
starting to get freaked out by the very dark window at the back here? Because I'm just waiting for a face to pop out there.
You said this before the show, so
I
I
know.
feel like
I'm in
you're
this
the one
house by
getting
myself.
freaked out.
I am feeling quite freaked out. I'm in this house by myself. It's normally got all my things around it, and there is an eerie feeling coming from that window. So,
Digby, this will happen to you eventually. I feel you're gonna have people who tell you things, and sometimes it's just for you to know. There's reasons for that, and yeah, it's frustrating sometimes. Like I wish like I said, there are a couple people that I am talking to. It's localized about a particular thing, and they've agreed to speak with me, but there's terms, and I can't. And until we reach a certain precipice and the evolution of my relationship with these individuals, like I can't say shit. It sucks, and I wish I
yeah,
could.
no, I get that, man. I get that.
But I will say this: there was an incident that occurred, geographically speaking, very close to where I live. I live in New Jersey. I live near a military installation. It involves that military installation, and that's as far as I can take it because I'm digging. Because I wanted to do a documentary about this particular incident because I find it fascinating, and I'm in contact with some people that have some information about that were willing to speak to me under specific terms, and I'm being respectful of that because, for all I know, Mr. Big Government could be watching them. I don't want to accidentally say something too far, and I maybe get somebody in some sort of legal trouble or anything. So I'm trying to, I look at it as like, well, I'm just respecting somebody's privacy, period, right? And I'm going with the flow. But that's why I have chosen not to say too much. I didn't like have a conversation with this person and then immediately go and tweet about it like I am talking to this person. I'm only saying it now for example's sake because I know what it's like to be in that position now, and you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. So like I feel for some of the journalists out there that are doing everything that they can, and people are contacting them, and then they're left in a situation. I was very close to the Grush thing. I was closer than I realized. I didn't even know what I was close to. And that was intense. My phone was blowing up, and I was at work, and people were like, "You can't." When I was on that other, the previous show, you and so cannot say this. Please don't say it. I'm like, and I didn't even know what the hell they were talking about. And then I figured out what they were talking about as the days went on. Blah blah blah. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't even know that. Like I got thrust into that. So it's a tricky world, and this topic is very tricky.
It is, and it's inherently secretive. So we have to play by rules of people that want to talk to us. And we were in a situation not so long ago where we had a guest on that wanted things left out, and we left it out of respect.
Yeah,
and if we didn't do that, then we wouldn't get very far on our podcast.
Heather's here
because we wouldn't get any decent guests on. Hello, Heather.
Hello, Heather. Obviously, one of our favorite people from Spaces and Twitter.
X. Love Heather. Indeed, X, indeed. Right. What are we going to next? What are we going to next tonight, Tom?
Your choice, man. Your choice.
Let's do Gary Nolan, and then and then afterwards let's do our new X segment because I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah. Would you like to do the honors for Gary? Click it.
I will click it.
I have seen data from a couple of groups now that were pretty extraordinary and obvious interactions with something. I mean, I don't want to get into the details. I'll wait for them to get their data together. I'm going to help them write up the paper. But I've never seen anything so extraordinary. I'm sorry for being,
No, you've got to respect people too, and these are your peers, right? So if you quickly get a name for just giving away people's work, nobody wants to work with you anymore.
Nobody wants to work with you anymore. But it is extraordinary if we can get it down. I mean, it was a once only event, but it was recorded by 2 cameras, and it was very close up. I don't know how to explain it. But it clearly reacted to their signal, and it got up close and personal. So hopefully they'll be able to put that together in a way that is publishable.
There we go.
That's a strong statement. Again, this is me. Not everybody feels this way. I very much trust Gary Nolan. I do. I've observed him and the things that he's said enough times for me to come to that conclusion. I think he's one of the smartest people in this country, maybe even the world. I think he is one of the hardest working scientists that we have. I really respect his open-mindedness, and I just think he's a really, really, really good human being. With that being said, I don't think this guy he doesn't shovel shit into our mouths, so to speak. He does not fill our heads with nonsense. He has seen something data-wise that blew his mind, and it has to do with the phenomenon. Also, when he's tripping on his words a little bit and trying to be careful about what he's saying near the end there, and he uses the word signal. I listened to the sounds his mouth was making, and he went, eh. And I think he was going to say the word energy. That's what it sounded like to me. Near the end there, it's like, it responded to our signal. I think he was going to say energy. What that means is anybody's guess. But this data is apparently going to be published sometime within the next 12 months. And maybe in some regard, maybe Ross Coulter is right. Maybe everybody kind of in the background knows this data is coming that's going to basically show undoubtedly that there's something that's there.
There seems to be a lot of talk from various sources at the moment that basically say in the next 12 months something's going to happen. You could say this happens all the time. Yeah, I get that.
It does.
But there does seem to be a large number of people that are saying the same thing. I mean, James Fox has said something similar, that he's aware of information that's coming out in the next 12 months that he thinks will, shake things up a lot. I want to believe. I want to believe that in the next 12 months that something amazing is going to happen and the truth is going to come out there. And I think a lot of people do. A lot of people do now more than ever. And the reason is because the reality of the life that we're in at the moment sucks ass so much that actually a lot of people are looking for something like that to give them a ray of hope, to suggest that maybe there is the possibility of change. There is the possibility of seeing a way that we can come together as a species rather than fight against each other, and that we get answers to the biggest questions in the universe, and we realize that we're not alone. I mean, if it was a truly benevolent species out there rather than malevolent, come on, it would greatly benefit our society in ways that we couldn't even imagine.
Question.
And I think that's a lot of the time, especially now, there's more people coming to the phenomenon than I've ever seen come to the phenomenon.
No question about that.
And
absolutely.
I think a lot of it has to do with that reason. I think people almost want it to be true. They're willing it to be true.
Of course, absolutely. Yeah, of course.
Because we all need more.
So.
We all need more.
And like what you were saying, uniting humanity and such too. When Ross made those comments about, there's this fear that there's like, a looming possibility of war with China. It makes me sit back. It makes me wish that I could call President Xi Jinping or, speak to these people and be like, listen, what are we shooting at each other for? Why?
Mm.
For what? What are we doing? Yeah, it's China, you know, beautiful culture, rich,
Mhm.
long history of
Great
that
food.
country, great food, uh, the arts, some extraordinarily intelligent people have come from
Mhm.
China.
Oh god, yeah.
Inventions throughout time, just a rich and storied history. And then you have the United States, a country that arose from revolution, and we have obviously given the world a lot too, and we're also guilty of negative things as well. So it's like the government. It's always a government versus government. It's never like the people, and it just kills me that that war is still something that occurs. I look at Russia and Ukraine, and I'm not going to go into the depths of all of that, but I look at it from a very basic standpoint.
Yeah.
Why are we fighting with each
Well,
other? Over what? It's not worth it.
we fight in the name of our government who tell us that they are fighting in the name of us, which just isn't true, because the people of one nation do not inherently have an issue with people of another nation. We're told that we should have an issue with them, and then we're told to go to war, and it's barbaric, and it's for a greater gain that we don't know. We don't have all the pieces to that puzzle at the moment, but there is definitely it's all about somebody else's game. It's about funding the military-industrial complex. It's about the fact that big pharma needs diseases so that they can stay in business. They need pandemics. They need all this sort of
Right.
stuff. I'm
You're not a
gonna go-
patient.
No.
You're a customer.
You are a customer, and when they need to create business, there is no cure for cancer because it wouldn't be possible. It wouldn't be profitable. This maybe isn't the space to be talking about all this stuff, but this stuff is out there. Those questions are out there, and what I will say is, if you are the type of person that has a show that questions big pharma, ag, and the military-industrial complex and the legacy media, then they will come after you. And I think we all know what I'm talking about here, right? And they will come after you, and they will try everything to destroy you. And and we see that happening all the time. And unfortunately, it's happening now. I will say this: I do personally believe that a poor man has been caught in the middle of it and has been tried by the press and has been executed by the public. And we have due course, and we have a judicial system in both our countries. And as far as I'm concerned, anybody is innocent until proven guilty. And it's not up for the public, and it's not up for legacy media to determine somebody's guilt. It's a jury of our peers and a judge. So until that such time happens, I will stand in the corner of the man who's having his life ruined at the moment. But there we go. That's enough on that. And I'm not saying that he's innocent, by the way. I'm talking about Russell Brand, obviously.
Yeah, no, yeah.
But I'm not saying he's innocent. I don't have the information. I don't have the facts.
I haven't looked.
But nobody else does who's judging him on social media either. So he should have a day in court, and he should say what he needs to say, and so should everybody else who's making accusations against him.
I think these court cases need to stay out of the news cycle to some degree. Like here, I'll use a good example, like the O.J. Simpson case, right? Maybe what needs to happen is you stop televising these court cases, and not to say that the public shouldn't have an opinion, but that there needs to be like new laws or stronger penalties for influence over jurors and such like that, because I've seen things happen before in this country where there was maybe you have a case that involves race or political affiliation and such, and then the mob mentality rears its ugly head, and it's like these jurors are afraid to even give their opinion. It's like you can't have that. You have to have a proper, unbiased juror, and you need to have a jury that looks at the facts of the case and is able to drown out social media. They're not watching television. It's a whole system that really needs to be rebuilt.
It is. It is, and there's been some key British public figures in the past that have succumbed to these similar attacks. There's a lady called Caroline Flack, who is a very famous TV presenter over here.
I know you're talking about.
Yeah, she killed herself, and for allegations made against her by the press, which later turned out to be incorrect. So let's just all be kind until we know the facts. I don't need to make this segment of the show about Russell Brand, and everybody has their own opinions, and everybody is entitled to them. So am I. Yeah, I'm the one with the microphone.
I don't know. I heard he was in hot water, and that's all I know. I don't even know the specifics. I don't know what it's about.
Well, yeah, it's basically some women have come out and made some accusations against him. Basically, at the time when
does
he was
have to be looked into, though.
Greek. But
yeah, well, you gotta look into that.
I don't trust allegations that only come out to dispatches and Channel 4 News and the Times when somebody goes digging rather than the person going to the police in the first place.
Right.
That's
also
anyway.
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing. But I will say this because of people that I'll end it with this. I know people that I've known personally in my life that were legitimate victims of things of that nature.
Oh, me too.
And it is always it needs to be, it always needs to be investigated, and it's very important that the facts are figured out, and that even if it's funky at the beginning, out of courtesy to those that are making the accusations, for the simple fact that it could be true, right? For the simple fact that it could be true, it needs to be investigated.
Absolutely.
I was raised because I was raised to treat women, with absolute kindness and respect. They are the life givers of this planet, for God's sake. I always say that too. It's like, I don't mean to sound, odd, but like, it always blew my mind that like women like weren't allowed to vote and all these. I'm like, are you kidding me? They're the ones giving birth. What the fuck? Like, it just never made sense to me. It never made sense to me. None of that made sense. Racism doesn't make sense. Sexism doesn't make sense. It's all.
We're really covering it all on tonight's show.
Covering it all. But why don't we go to Schellenberger's article?
Yeah, let's go to that, and then we'll go over to the next segment, our Twitter segment. So if you get that ready as well,
let me go to my X profile, and I'm gonna bring up the article real quick. Michael Schellenberger, he's pretty plugged in at this point. And whenever he says something, I listen. Again, he comes off like a journalist that really is trying to just kind of get to the bottom of everything. And I guess what I could do here is I'll share my screen again, but we'll go to my X profile, and then I'll go in between tabs and such. So I'll share screen. Now, some of this may not be necessarily new. Kimball, I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. Like, I'm glad that you guys out there are enjoying the show, and that our analysis it can be absorbed by you guys in a positive light. That really means a lot to me, and Digby as well, obviously.
Absolutely. No, I mean, we just here giving our honest opinion about things. So,
in full disclosure, I have our channel up. It's just so I'm able to monitor both the chats and stuff. So Michael Schellenberger has this article. Now, this is my post about it. I want to read this excerpt. Testimony has included both first-hand and second-hand reports of crash retrieval and reverse engineering programs by U.S., Russian, and Chinese governments. The testing of materials obtained from retrieved craft, active and ongoing government disinformation operations. Now, check this out. Kinetic military action with UAPs, contact and collaboration with non-human intelligence, and the successful reverse engineering of a triangle-shaped craft with unconventional propulsion. That is fascinating. It does line up with certain things that I've come across in my own research. And I had a thought about the collaboration with NHI.
Yeah.
And it's like, is it possible that one of the reasons the government is having like a tough time admitting to certain things, right, check this out, Digby. What if it's true that they made a deal with NHI for technology, and that in that deal, they gave them the okay to abduct? How do you admit that? You basically sold out your own species for tech. Like, look at it from that perspective.
Yeah, no, I've heard this. I think you've brought this up to me before, actually. And it is a good point. I think it also comes down to the point as well, the fact that if there is a deal with NHI, there are obviously several different types of NHI. And, you know, what if what if our government is in bed with the wrong type of NHI as well? You know, what, you know, because if we're looking at a benevolent NHI, then you would think that abductions would be off the table just anyway. Whereas abductions seem like a more malevolent, malevolent situation to me. So, you know, I think we're dealing with lots of different types of NHI. I think NHI get put under a blanket and pushed together, and you know, I think we're looking at multiple different species, and we could be looking at multiple different species that have arrangements with different countries. You know, who knows what a tangled web there is out there. I think we all just think of aliens, and we just think of, you know, aliens. We don't think of them necessarily broken down into their own species. You know, like on Earth. I mean, how many different life forms are there on Earth, and how many trillions of planets are there out there?
Oh, it's insane.
Could sustain life. I was watching something today, and it was 1 in 5 suns in the galaxy has a planet in the Goldilocks zone. That's trillions of potential habitable planets in the universe.
It's hard to fathom. So,
I mean,
I'm going to get a little dark for a second here. Now, I told you guys, and I showed you guys the thumbnail for my video that I'm working on here. I just want to make a point. Talking about deals with NHI. Talking about abduction. Ross makes his statement saying, you know, people should be taking that a little bit more seriously, and there are things that he's been told, obviously, about that particular aspect of the phenomenon that scared him. There are 22,740 people missing in the United States without a trace every year. Without a trace, never found. David Politis, missing 411. People go missing under very, very bizarre circumstances and are never found. Annually, more than 600,000 people go missing every year in the United States, and approximately 4,400 unidentified bodies are recovered each year. Now, is it possible that, although, you know, you speak to a lot of people about abduction literature, the work of John Mack and others, that, you know, you're able to speak to abductees because they get returned. Well, did it ever cross your mind that maybe some of them don't?
Did it ever cross your mind that some of them don't want to be returned?
Yeah, maybe it's possible that they didn't want to come back, right?
I don't think I would.
What if?
Well, if you go see something amazing and you're like, yeah.
Yeah, Jet makes a good point. There's baggage, right?
Yeah, and that's a direct quote from the David Grush interview.
David Grush, right? What if some group, whatever, whoever, government, military, somebody in some sort of position of power in our species made a deal with NHI for tech or knowledge, whatever it may have been. Let them abduct, but they didn't put any particular rules or regulations on that. They just said, go do what you want.
I just don't understand. What benefit do they have from abductions? I don't get it. That's what I don't get, and that's probably.
And don't forget My Labs. What's up, Fringe? Yeah, My Labs. Yeah, that's another thing too. That's a whole nother story. Nick Redfern's research into My Labs is definitely a good place to start, if not the best place for that. But I thought about that. Yeah, because I'm working. Full disclosure here, I'm working on the next chapter of the Eyes of the Infiltrators. It's a multiple chapter thing. You guys saw my video on the Greys. That's what I'm referring to. But there's more there. There's a lot more there. I was just talking about the beings themselves. I didn't necessarily go super deep into the actual abductions. I didn't go super deep into this potential hybridization program. It's like, well, why are they hybridizing? What? It's like, well, okay, let's go even further back in the chain. Why would they need to abduct? Could be, some sort of experimentation, genetic analysis and such. Okay, we take that into consideration, and then let's go further up the chain. Let's say they're doing that, and let's say they're doing it to create hybrids. Well, why are they creating hybrids? I don't know. Okay, there are theories about that. Some of them are terrifying, why they would be doing that. It's just that there is a pattern in the data. You have people being abducted, and then there are specific parts that a lot of times will end up going missing in the midst of cattle mutilations. Is exactly what you would need for such experimentation from a scientific perspective. Sexual organs and glands and such being removed, blood. It goes into some pretty dark territory. There are parts of this phenomenon that people are not going to want to hear about. But I, being who I am and as open-minded as I am, I have to look at everything. This, there might be some love and light going on here from one group and not so much from another. There is a theory that this is going to upset some people. There is a theory that they are creating hybrids for whatever reason for the eventual replacement of our species on this planet. Why they would do that is anyone's guess. But there is also the belief that they are already being integrated into our society. Why? I don't know. But there's a lot of people out there that believe that they are walking among us. James Fox, he made a statement about this before. Robert Bigelow, he's made a statement about this before. I'm digging into that one too. I'm gonna eventually do a video on this as well. Now, when it comes to that, it gets really creepy. You gotta go. There is something to this. I would say, based on my own research, there is definitely something here. This is not some rumor that somebody made up one day. There is absolutely something to this.
I would say that from what I believe, I think it's probably more likely that they're doing experiments to save their own genetic line and save their own species rather than.
It's possible. It's absolutely possible. And it gets weirder though.
Generation after generation of clones, perhaps, or something along those lines, and then the genetic sequencing breaks down or whatever, and they need to introduce new DNA, or there's loads of things.
It goes further than that, though. It goes way further than that. It goes into even almost spiritual territory where there is the possibility that they lost their connection to spirit, the Godhead, the central consciousness of the universe, and that they are trying to regain that connection because essentially they can't die. They can't die like we die. And when we look at death, obviously it's scary and such, but the transformation of the soul. Again, these are things that I've read. I'm not saying I believe them. I'm saying that I'm just presenting the information that I have.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, they don't have souls. We do. And they want souls.
Maybe.
Now,
like
that doesn't mean they're trying to steal the moon. Yeah, no, that whole thing. I don't know about all that. The whole reptilian soul catcher thing. Yeah, no. They lost.
Hey, that was a good episode of the Who Files. The what they called the What Files or whatever.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. Yeah, it makes for good for good listening around the campfire.
Nick Tina's here, saying hi to us both.
Yeah,
hi, mate. How you doing?
We appreciate your
look.
We appreciate your advertisement for our own show.
Yes.
Thank you so
much.
Smash
the like button and
smash that like button.
Smash it.
$3 and
Yeah,
6
dude.
times. I love this girl. She always pops in and has something interesting to say. She says, "Want to hear weirder? Yeah, please. If you have something even weirder, I would love to hear it. Please. We're not afraid to talk about things."
No, I
here,
think she was
but-
referring to you saying you've got weirder, as in you have. Weird
Okay,
stuff
yeah.
to
Well,
say. So I think that's
oh
what
yeah,
she's
maybe she
saying.
was talking about me. It does get to that point though, where we're talking about souls.
Yeah.
We're talking about souls. Humans have a connection to something that is greater than themselves, that is beyond the atom, and it is not measurable by our scientific standards and instrumentation. They know that.
Well,
And it's
you
also possible
lose-
that they lost their connection or they're jealous of ours. It's possible. And
They've weighed people at the moment of death, and as soon as they die, they lose
right,
the ground,
that's
right?
been debated. Right, that's been debated.
You could argue
but
that
it goes
that's probably
further than that.
Well, yeah.
I spoke about this, I believe, on the podcast. My brother's college did a study back in like 2017 that literally proved that that people were having conscious experiences after their brains were completely shut off after death. Yes, it's been proven. Proven. This isn't conjecture. This isn't guesswork. They proved it. They put a machine that would have a blinking light and sounds and such. And when the brain is in this particular state, all the senses are shut off. As far as we knew, at least, all the senses were shut off. And these people reported the blinking light. They reported hearing the sound that this thing was making. And they also reported perspectives of being over their body and seeing things that they couldn't have possibly seen outside of the room that they were in. It was impossible, yet it was happening.
Nuts. That's crazy.
Consciousness non-locality is what that is. It's detachment from the body. It's because consciousness.
Well, we're just a
is this
receptor
mysterious
at the end of the day,
force.
aren't we?
Right. That's what I think. That's what I think. Yeah, the reptilian soul catcher thing. Yeah, I'm not so sure about that. Right. But I could see a more realistic version of that. These beings are either jealous of that connection, or they're trying to understand it because they don't have it or they lost it. There is a part of our nature that maybe let's say they're completely artificial. Let's say they're just
what
evolution.
if they have evolved into something that is completely AI and
they want that
form of mechanical, yet now they actually want to be human, but they want to be biological. Oh God, I mean, mate,
that's absolutely correct.
We could sit here and debate the what ifs and everything like that forever. There's a load of different theories out there.
It's a fascinating topic.
It is, but it is absolutely.
Thank you, Fringe.
I really want to get on to our next topic.
Yeah, let's do it. It seems like everybody enjoyed that segment, so I'm happy to see that. It's always nice.
Right, so let's do this. Right, I'm going to play the intro. You load up Twitter, and we will start.
UFO X.
This
All
is
right, guys. Yeah, let's do it.
This idea that I literally came up with about 45 minutes before the start of the show this evening. And I said, as a joke, why don't we, during the show, load up UFOX and go through some of the tweets? And we're going to pick, we'll see what happens. So if you're watching us on Twitter now, you can put something really offensive up there and it'll probably come up.
That's a good way to try to get on the show as well. We could start doing that too. Like, hashtag UAPOD.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? That's
So, but for today, let's do this. Okay, right. So we're going to pick. Tom's going to pick. Actually, I think it's probably best because on my screen.
This earlier.
Yeah, I can't really read the text on yours too well. So we'll go with yours. If anybody has a comment that they would like to put up about the post or anything that we're going through, please do, and we will put it up on the screen. But for now, let's do a little review of Twitter. Right, Tom, let's go with that first one that you've got there.
This is the Metapod. This is, like I said, I've researched this pretty extensively. This has not been debunked. It's a wild piece of footage.
This is great. I don't do Twitter. Welcome.
Yeah, welcome. Exactly. You should. You would be able to interact with a lot of the people that are in the chat right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
On a daily basis.
So, Tom, tell us about the Metapod, because I saw this earlier and I thought, God, that looks fake. But no.
Right. Yeah.
Can you make it full screen for us?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I'll even go back to the very, very beginning of the footage. So
look at that.
This What's really interesting is that I have other clips on my computer of very, very, very similarly shaped objects that were taken in footage and photos from other parts of the world on separate occasions, separate years, and such. And as odd and as surprising as it may be, this has not been debunked.
It's nuts, though, isn't it? I mean, to me, it looks like a single-person ship. It looks like it's got a glass front or something similar to glass at the front because it's reflective at the front, not at the sides. And it looks like it. I don't know. It looks like a pod that would literally sit one person or one being, or I don't know. Do you know what it almost looks like? It almost looks like an escape pod.
Right. Well, not only that, but a couple months ago, I have to go looking for it, but there was an article where apparently one of the whistleblowers that's apparently waiting in the wings here that is mentioned in Schellenberger's article. He said, and don't quote me because I'm going by memory. He described an object that is very similar to this. If anybody knows what I'm talking about, he described. I'm trying to think of the word that he used. He said something about ram's horns and things like that, but there was some similarity in what he was talking about to this object and a couple other objects that I've seen, and
that's really interesting.
It's baffling. Let's see. Beverly says, I literally have documented, analyzed video of UAP, not UFO, performing feats of symbolism. My greatest two combined are the Philosopher's Stone, awakened mind, and a triple helix DNA, awaken our DNA, awaken your DNA. Oh, yeah. There it is. Yeah. Helicopter turned inside out. Yes. You know what I'm talking about. Yes. That. Yes. I have to go looking for it, but yes. Thank you for that. I appreciate it because it was months back, and it seemed to kind of just like fly under the radar for whatever reason.
Right, let's go
I would
down.
love to see some of that footage, these photos. Let's see.
So Michael P. Masters, what was that?
It disappeared.
Michael P. Masters is coming on the show, I believe, in November.
He
I reached out to him, and he said he would happily come on in November, so that's going to be great. Right, what else have we got interesting on X?
There's Ryan somewhere in the skies. I'm in his
Ryan.
book. Shout out to Ryan.
Oh, what have we got here?
Did you use a potato to take the picture? This is just zoomed in. I went to the shop the other day, and this was just sitting in the sky, just inside a cloud. It wasn't the moon or a plane. Yeah, I mean, it's hard. He's really zoomed in here. I can tell.
Be anything.
He's at like max zoom.
That could be anything. Next.
And then, there's Ryan again. I'm just
dominating UFOX tonight.
UFO high in the mountains here.
Doesn't turn orange. What is that? Dude, I can't get on my camera. What is this, dude? Wait, look. What? Oh,
check that out.
Dude, they see it. What is that? What the fuck is this?
A balloon.
What am
I can't find it. Oh, wait. Focus. That is not a fucking bird. Dude, a hawk doesn't turn orange. What is that? Dude, I can't get on my camera. What is this?
I don't know. I don't know about this.
I call bullshit.
Dude, they see it. What is that? What?
Yeah, I'm hearing the audio from it, and it just I don't know.
Well, the audio just makes it sound fake.
It could even be CGI, and then they added an audio track underneath it. You know, I don't know. What is this?
Yeah.
White cube by the moon.
Wow, it's really what that lens flare.
This is the lens flare down here. The camera. This is stationary, whatever that is.
Could be anything. People are clutching at straws there, I think.
Could be. Oh, yeah, here's
Well, what's this?
Lester.
Dozens of government U.S. whistleblowers have given testimony.
That's that Schellenberger
to Congress.
article.
Yeah. We've got that one.
I'm gonna like that because you're right. It's true. Why the inability to take the UAP story seriously makes no sense. You're absolutely right. Absolutely, I could not possibly agree more. It really does need to be the front and center story. What a way to waste money when they have known for more than 75 years that there is intelligent life in the universe, and it is not them.
Yeah,
I guess
that looks like Wally.
It does kind of look like Wally.
Come on, let's find something fun and juicy to talk about.
Well, let's go to media. Let's do media. Like, start now. Is the audio coming through from here?
It is coming through. Yeah. I'm getting your audio, so that's fine.
About $319,000.
Al Warden.
Oh yeah, but we found out a lot. We found out a lot from Cassini, and that last plunge into the atmosphere was pretty
I
exciting.
believe he makes a comment about us being the aliens.
A lot about the other planets. The other planets are just
why
another
is that
stepping
so
stone.
important when you look at what we've got in our country? Problems with the NHS, problems with this, problems back here on Earth. Tell us why we should invest so heavily in that.
Survival.
Mm-hmm.
Survival of the species.
Do you think
no
eventually?
question about it.
You think eventually we'll colonize other planets and we'll leave?
Not in our solar system, because there's nothing here that will sustain us. We got to develop the capability to go someplace where there is another Earth, and we know that they're out there. There's no question about that. They are out there, but they're a little ways out. Maybe 3.2 light years is the nearest one, which means we got to build a machine that goes a little faster than the speed of light, and that's going to be the big key.
And do you think there's extraterrestrials out there, Al, as well?
What?
Do you think there's?
I've been asked that question hundreds of times. Do you believe in aliens? And I say, yeah. Have you ever seen one? I say, yeah, I have. Well, how have you seen them? Well, I said, I look in the mirror every morning because that's what we are.
Anybody?
We are the aliens, but we just think they're somebody else, but we're the ones who came from somewhere else because somebody else had to survive, and they got in a little spacecraft, and they came here, and they landed, and they started civilization here. That's what I believe. And if you don't believe me, go get books on the ancient Sumerians and see what they had to say. They'll tell you right.
Okay, Al.
Yeah.
Based Al Warden.
Well, look, the thing is, at the end of the day, as a species, we are reaching out into the our solar system and beyond. Yep. We're going past the Kuiper Belt. We are looking at planets with their Goldilocks zones, within the Goldilocks zones of their sun and everything like this. And we're trying to develop technologies to enable us to leave our own planet. So why is it such a big stretch for people to realize that there are all these planets in their Goldilocks zone have the potential of having habitable atmospheres and sustaining life, and that they aren't as well trying to reach other planets with a sustainable atmosphere? That they're just a little bit further on from us. I really struggle to find why people have such a hard time believing in UFOs and UAPs and the existence of extraterrestrial life, because I just think it's colossal ignorance.
Oh yeah, here, I always like to tell people this.
Oh, I do not like that bloke. He's a douchebag.
I don't know anything about him.
Oh,
this is actually a really good clip. This is really good. I don't know if
go for it.
You guys may have seen this. This is about the fourth dimension. Check this out.
Oh, hang on.
Away in a safe. She's checked the safe from every angle and is sure that no one will be able to break in without a key. But she hasn't taken into account the idea that a three-dimensional creature, such as myself, might be peering in from above. She doesn't even know the concept of above. I could steal these gems without a key and without damaging the safe, and she would have no idea how they were taken. We should keep an eye out for ourselves. A four-dimensional creature could steal from our safes without a key, could take the yolk from an egg without breaking the shell, appear in a closed room, or see inside of our brains. The fourth dimension is perpendicular to all of our normal 3D space directions, and we have no walls up against that direction. This two-dimensional...
That is such an interesting way of that, and it is a really, really spot-on way to describe the fourth dimension in terms that people can actually understand. That's really, really, really interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Next.
That's so fake. Why do people do this?
Yeah, I know, right? Hey, who's this handsome chap down here? Oh, Tom, it's you.
Oh, that's me. Hey.
What have we got? Come on, Tom, show us yours. Come on.
Yeah, well, the UFO subject play a role in the upcoming election season was my little post there.
Well, I think that's a bloody good point. Will it?
Yeah, we'll go to my page real quick. Why not, right?
Oh, yeah, all right. We'll go.
Oh, look, there's us.
We'll just skip it. Oh, look, there's us looking at us.
Wait a sec. It's going to be us looking at us. Yeah, I was going to say. Al makes a good point in the chat, too. He said, think what is concerning is the Dark Forest signature-wise out in Interstellar, but the fact that they are here, not revealing themselves directly to the world, so there is a motive accordingly. Yeah, that's a good... It's like, there's obviously a reason why they're, elusive and instinct. That has to be taken into consideration. Yes, there could be, I mean, so many different reasons why that may be occurring. Oh, this is a conception at this point. Looking into ourselves. Andrew Gallimore, I had reposted this a little while ago here. He wrote a book called Alien Information Theory that I'm in the midst of reading, which is absolutely fascinating. Here's our buddy Astral. What's the most compelling evidence supporting the theory of human-alien hybrid beings? Share your sources. Yeah, that's... Ooh, yeah, and that's a great image, probably generated by Midjourney.
This one.
Will City says something up close. Carla Turner, yeah.
Oh, Kimball's down there.
There's Kimball. The odds of intelligent life from elsewhere also being bipedal and having a humanoid shape is improbable, yet people see bipedal humanoids. Absolutely great point.
Yeah, it is a great point, but what if it's got something to do with the atmosphere and that, it's bipedal beings that find it easier to visit us? I also was watching something earlier today, and it was about the reason why so many UFOs come out of the water. And it was a really interesting thing, actually. It's a really interesting point. And the fact that atmospheres can vary so much to the point where it would be habitable or inhospitable to different beings. But if a planet has got water on it, there is only varying degrees of which water can differentiate between being a solid or a liquid or then into a gas. So if the water is liquid, then it's got to be in a certain temperature range, and therefore it's protected from everything else. So if you want to visit another planet and observe it in a safe way that you know is going to be safe for your craft and compared to your own planet, that you know under the water is going to be the safest place for you to be, because you can only be between freezing and boiling point.
Absolutely.
Whereas the atmosphere could change violently. So I just thought that was actually a very key point as to why NHI or UFOs, UAP, we see coming out of the water, because actually it's the closest thing that they would have to something on their own planet. It's the constant, which I just thought was a really, really good point, actually. And I hadn't thought of it like that before. Because atmospheres vary, right?
Yeah, of course.
But if it's got water, it can only be water between boiling and freezing. Anyway, there you go. Beverly, go Navy.
Richard Dolan, love Richard. 5 concealed Navy UFO encounters. 5 previously unknown and unexplained events that occurred in the open seas involving the U.S. Navy. Yeah, shout out to the Navy for seemingly being the most transparent of all of the arms of the military.
Seemingly.
In this topic, really. I mean, God, every time we hear any of these types of stories come that are being leaked, or the Pentagon It's all been the Navy. So shout out to the Navy for
again,
doing
why do you
that.
think that goes on exactly from the last point that I made? And the reason why the Navy is seeing things is because they're over the water.
That's a great point. That's exactly.
I mean, the majority. I think we all kid ourselves about how much landmass there is actually on this planet. Because actually, if you open up the Google Earth map on your phone right now and zoom out so you've got the full planet view, and then you twist it round the other way, you'll realize that actually if you approached Earth from one side, it would look like it was pretty much a planet made just of water. All our landmass is pretty much on one side of the planet. There is so much water on this planet.
And there's more that they discovered like
under the surface.
Yeah, it's insane. It's insane. Hey, there's us.
Hey, that's a good-looking logo, and it's you again. Well, we were on your Twitter page, so you're just self-promoting.
And then here's Astro. I'll advertise Astro here. Does this every Thursday.
Well, we should get him on to do some remote viewing on here. I think it would be really good.
We just need to get him on in general, and he is going to be my first guest over on Podcast 0 when I relaunch that. I'm just looking for a date to kind of make it happen, and then I'm gonna have him be my first guest technically on the show. He's been a good friend, man. He's been very, very good to me. I've probably known him the longest out of everybody at this point that I talked to. And he's just a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful guy. Really, really knows his shit, man. He's a good musician too. Just I'm lucky to know him. But yeah, these spaces, I'm in there a lot. So if you ever are looking for me on a Thursday night, Eastern time, chances are this is where I'll be. And you should really look through some of those target shares that people do. He reveals the remote viewing target, and there's been some people that have gotten remarkably close to the image that he chose. It's really cool.
His spaces are always way too late at night for me over here in the UK.
Yeah, I know it's tough. It's definitely tough. I would recommend though, if it's late, go back and listen to the recordings.
I will. Speaking of being quite late, it is quite late for me here.
Yeah, I do believe Hey, look at this! Look at this young chap. You're right. I did look really different there, didn't I?
You do.
I guess I have to play it now, right?
Oh, go on then, quickly, and then I'm going to call it a night.
All right. Oh God, I'm going to blush.
So, Tom, a bit of context here, please.
It's me playing guitar.
And from when?
I think it was, I want to say 3.5 years ago. I'm looking at the arrangement of everything, and it was definitely a while back here. I think it might even be before I built my computer, so it, maybe even 4 years. I had a friend send this to me the other day. I forgot it existed. Obviously, a lot less facial hair going on here, but I'll play it real quick. And please excuse the faces. I can't help it. As a musician, it just happens, and I don't even know that I'm doing them half the time. So. Insane degree, I guess.
And a really low tuning too.
Love playing Middle Eastern music and Egyptian scales and such.
It's just nice.
Well, that wasn't a low tuning. I can feel that.
You're doing the same faces now. You don't even look at that grade. Look at that.
That was a cool one. Some of the faces are really ridiculous, though.
Okay, all right.
I still have this guitar too. Well, here's the best part, though. Here we go. We're almost at the end here. This shit right here. I'm proud of this one. Middle Eastern, like, yeah, harmonic minor scale. I love stuff like that. Like, yeah, pinch harmonics. There it is. And I even took my hand off and everything. Damn, I was feeling it that day. Yeah, I love playing guitar, honestly. Digby, obviously, you're a really, really, really good singer. And I'm sure, so I know you have a musical inclination. Music is just like one of the greatest things in the world. It's just one of the best.
It is. Look, it's getting late here, and I need to get.
Yeah. Did you drink any wine tonight?
I didn't. No, nothing. This is probably why I'm tired.
You feeling any better?
No, not really. And there's a bit
of yeah. I know you're probably
stomach earlier, but no, I'm fine. Yeah. I'm fine. I'm absolutely fine. Thank you to everybody that came along and watched the show this evening. It's been a bit of a weird one actually, because it was a bit of a quiet week on the old UFO news. There was some good nuggets that came out in the end, but yes, no massive bombshells this week like there has been in recent weeks. And we were a guest town, but we still managed to pull it out of the bag. So thank you to everybody joining us in the chat and for all your comments. It's always appreciated. If you haven't already, head over, and if you're not watching on the UAPOD YouTube channel, please search at UA-pod and head over there and hit that subscribe button and give us a like, because it really, really helps. And follow us. Follow me and Tom. Our Twitter handles are, or X handles.
Oh, we had 100 followers here for the account here. You can exit out of the screen. So if you want to follow us on Twitter, obviously, it's at UAPod23. If you follow me or Digby or both of us, make sure to also follow the show on there. That's where you'll see a lot of the updates. We go live. You'll know when we're going live. We obviously stream it to X and to YouTube. And then obviously we're on Spotify. So make sure you follow us on Spotify as well. And my DMs are open if you ever want to get in contact with us about coming on the show, or just want to generally have a conversation. DMs are definitely open for that.
One last thing. So just a little reminder, next week's show, Ronnie Vanette. Can't wait. This is going to be a great one. Really big fan of Ronnie's work, and to hear from somebody who was at the Mexican UAP hearing and hearing his thoughts is just going to be really top for us. So I'm really, really looking forward to that one. And then, Tom, I haven't told you this, but I think probably the week after that, I might need to take a week's break.
I can run the show because I know you've got a lot going on.
I will probably be driving.
Yeah, we don't want you doing the show in the middle of driving.
Well, actually, no. Let me just have a look at the dates, because actually, I think it's the day before I go. But my Eurotunnel train, because I'm going through the tunnel, is on the 13th. Oh no! Do you know what? No, I will be okay. We will be okay. We will not need. I will not need to take a break. I'm completely mixing my dates up. So next week we have Ronnie Vanette. The week after we have an undisclosed guest, because we don't know who it is yet, but we'll find somebody really good. And then the week after that, my first show from Portugal.
Very cool. Very cool. Really cool. I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to be behind you.
I know, right? Probably a goat or something. I don't know. I could be inside.
Ghost in the window.
Outside.
How's that dark window doing?
It's really freaking me out. I've actually told my wife that I will quite happily sleep here tonight, because she didn't want me walking back in next door at 11 o'clock and waking the dogs up and everybody waking up. So I'm going to go sleep in I've got a mattress left on the floor for me. So if you do not see me next week, it's because I got raped and murdered in my sleep by the ghosts.
Oh my God, that's so terrible.
Yeah, I know, right?
Been raided by the phenomenon.
Take me. Great show. Have a great night. Thank you, Paul. Thank you very much.
Everybody in the chat, yes, thank you so much.
Yeah. No, really, really, really great night. If you have an experience or you have been abducted or you have seen something wonderful and you want to share your story with us, reach out to myself or Tom on Twitter or through at UAPOD23, and we will get back to you. We'd love to have people on the show. What you guys are what makes the show, and it's the reason why we do it live, so we've got the audience participation. So we want to hear as much as we can from any of you. So if you've got a story that you want to tell, we're very relaxed, we're very friendly. We'd love to have you on the show. If you haven't seen it, oh, actually, do you know what? We haven't covered the Encounters documentary at all.
Well, I guess we can make that our final segment.
But just briefly, because
we don't want to give away too much, anyways.
No,
we
I don't
want to go super deep into it. So I mean, okay, because I know you had some feelings on it. I'll say, because I'm still halfway through the second episode right now. I really, really, really enjoyed the first episode. Again, I feel it's important for people to remember that I feel like this is geared specifically not towards people like myself or Digby who are like really deep into this, but it's more of an introductory thing. I think it's more to present some really good cases to people that may not be nearly as familiar with the subject. I really believe that's what this was made for. I really do.
I understand that point of view. And my contradicting point of view on the documentary series is I feel it's a lot of the same stories and cases that we've heard from every sort of Gaia TV channel or such like, and that these stories have been done before. I will say that this has got an awful lot more production value to it, and it's filmed beautifully.
Very, very much so. Yes, great production quality. But they,
but it is. You don't. I mean, you don't have. They are good cases, but you don't have to be a UFO nerd to have heard them before, and that's my only point of view. And I'm not going to say too much, but in the second episode, where they cover the Ariel School story, which is a great story, there's a new witness that they bring forward that I've never heard of before. And Tom, I spoke to you about it. You've never heard of him before.
I'm very suspicious of this.
That comes on and sounds like a bad cable TV actor. Have you got to this point yet?
No.
Right. So Tom's going to watch it later. Anyway, so this guy comes on and he sounds like a bad cable TV actor, as I said. And he comes in and tries to debunk the whole thing, saying he made it all up. And
it's like, well, there's over 60 witnesses, so how did you make it all up? And all these people saw this. It just makes no sense to me.
That's all I'm going to say about it. That part of the episode 2 I found really disappointing, and it seemed quite fake and disingenuous to me. But again, that's just my opinion. I wasn't going into this expecting a smoking gun. Of course I wasn't, but I was hoping that it would be something that maybe would further the appeal of the phenomena, and maybe it will. Maybe Netflix will push it out there in a way that
episode 1 does
break some barriers and get some more people interested. Maybe it will. So I am fully prepared to eat all of my words. But for me, I will give it a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I have to watch more of it to really even make a decision on like the series as a whole. But the first episode, I feel is good. There's nobody popping up in there like that. This weird.
We also know that Spielberg knows more.
Yeah, like I said, Hynek was feeding him information when he was creating Close Encounters.
Yep. Right. Anyway, that's that. We love you all dearly. Thank you very much for joining us on the show this week. And you can catch us at the same time next week. So that's 4:30 p.m. US Eastern Time and 9:30 p.m. UK time. We will see you next week. So, and if you want to get in touch, just look us up and we'll get you on the show. Much love to you all. And we'll speak to you soon. Take care and have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.
Later.